Welcome to Sith Talk, brought to you by Gattacar and Lander, bringing you news from Star Wars The Old Republic and beyond. Join us now as we explore the universe and take down the Republic in a galaxy not so far away. This week's Sith Talk. So in the background, you'll notice for those watching the live stream,
hello everyone, this is
I'm
Sulu,
running a
your
video
Galactic
from
Librarian,
when I
picking
started
back up
my
with Skyborn
character
Chapter 1,
specifically for
second
Twitch.
part.
Anyone
It's
who's
actually
listening
thunder.
will
It's
not
proof.
see anything. That's kind of the
That's
beauty
what
of
it
it.
is.
We do have a
Skyborn
decent amount of news, but I want to make sure, as we
you.
always do, to start
No,
off by
Mother,
thanking
it's
all of our
proof.
subscribers, both on Podomatic and on the other Universal subscription zones. I want to welcome my co-host, as always, Lanyard, back this week.
Yeah, the guy that what are we on now? Episode 55 or something like that, and I still can't do the damn XSplit right. For whatever reason, it wouldn't shift to the main screen as soon as you said hello, and so I kept tapping it, and it decided to go into pseudo. So,
wow.
And then I had to shrink everything down to get us back to main. So we had pseudo talking at the same time you were talking for about the first 10 seconds of.
That's no big deal.
Fuck.
The audio is all that matters.
One of these days I'll have this set up.
Look at it this way: we've been doing the podcast for about a year now, a little over a year chronologically.
Yeah.
And as far as the shows go, we're I think at 51 or so. So altogether, not too bad. The fact that we have technical glitches is just, I guess, at this point, a part of the show. I want to thank everyone for being supporters. If you want to be one of our supporters, you can go to our Podomatic site and click on the PayPal donate site, and we will thank you on air for that. I haven't been super busy, but I have been fairly busy. These double XP weekends definitely helping the idea of leveling up alts. But Lanyard, I'll let you start off on your week first, and
okay.
Go from there.
Okay, well, I jumped on Lanyard, and, actually, to start off, the double XP weekend came up, and I was able to make this weekend because I thought that it was only that one weekend. But Pseudo happily reminded me that it's every weekend until the release. So I jumped on, first I jumped on my brand new tune, Paps, and as I was quite often reminded that I spelled it wrong in chat. I was spelled every time I speak in chat. Someone would say, "Oh, by the way, you spelled it wrong." Yeah, no shit.
It's a lot of alcoholics playing the game, though.
Yeah, right. So I was like, I know that, just the same way I spelled mayonnaise wrong, so I could get the name. Anyway, so I jumped on Paps. He was my level 3 operative. And was on Hutta, and I was just pounding through levels. Got off of Hutta at 11, which I could have got off a lot earlier. And went to Drummond Cost, started to do missions there. When I hit level 19, I was like, why am I bothering with these side missions? I could be on a different planet by now. So I jumped on, just did the class missions, got off at level 20. And that's where my weekend ended with him. And then the next day I jumped on Lanyard, and because I haven't played on him in ages, borrowed a bunch of money from Suiza, and was able to switch out my mods, and got his new gray gear, the new gray white, forgot what that's called, gear. Set up, so he's all decked out with level 58 mods, and went and did the Section X dailies, because I hadn't done that at all yet. So went and did that, started and got my starter quest. Well, I picked up the little scanner and stuff, so start looking for my HK parts. Went through and was checking to see, okay, what does he need? How many credit coins or whatever they want to call them do I have? And I had quite a few of the, after doing the dailies on the Section X and I went and did the daily hard mode flashpoint. We did False Emperor. I had tanked again. I hadn't tanked in a long time. It was still pretty good. They've nerfed it pretty big though. So, like for instance, in the hard mode, False Emperor. Remember, there was that one cast that if you didn't interrupt it, it wiped
ultimate
the
power.
Right. He doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't do it at all. I mean, because we kept screwing up. And so we get him down to 9%. I'm over at the bridge. I'm like, throw the grenade, and the grenade goes off. He doesn't go anywhere. Everybody's throwing their grenade. The other guy's like, I don't even have my grenade. What the hell is it? It's not in my bag. It's not. I know everybody picked it up because we all sat there and picked it up. So he sat at 9%, and we couldn't kill him. We were just constantly keeping him off of us until it finally did. He did a knockback and knocked us all off the bridge. So we had to go back in and do it again, and this time the grenades worked, but still at 9%. It stops. You can't kill him any more than 9%, and he doesn't have the ultimate power thing. He just enrages after a long time, and then wipes everybody. But I did that, and so after that, I got all these badges, and I went in to see. Okay, I've got all these. I now have 95 black hole gear badges. So what do I need? So I would go in and I'd check with the black hole vendor. And because of all the mods I've picked up from doing all these raids and stuff, I don't need any of it. I mean, it's everything I have, or if it's something that replaces, it gives me a boost in a category I don't want to boost. It either gives, if I got all the black hole, I would be 90% absorption and 10% defense. That's not a tank. It's got to be unless they've changed it. It's always been, you got to keep that defense and absorption pretty balanced. It used to be shield defense, but I guess they figured you can't do that. So anyway, so I got all these. So I just started buying black hole gear for my Kennies. I was like, I pull up Mako. I'm like, she's wearing tinies. Give her some black hole. Let's see, that's good. Let's bring up Galt. Galt's like my. When I pull out Kenny's, it's Mako, and then that Torian guy, the Mandalorian kid, and then I'll pull out the big fat dude, the frog-looking guy, the frog-faced guy, and then after that it's Blizz, and then it's Galt. I mean, Galt's like my last choice before the droid, so even Galt has a black hole piece now because they're just maxed out with the gloomy black hole and daily stuff. They're all decked out and set. So I did all that, like I said, and then I went and got I got Paps all set up in good gear. He's doing what is it? You make armor and you make mods and you make earpieces and that thing, cybernetics or whatever it's called. And he's working on doing that. So, yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it. I had a lot of fun. It was good. I'm looking forward to the second to the last weekend before launch. So if they hold true, there should be 2 more XP weekends, so that'll give me 2 days. Gives me 2 days of double XP because I've got to work Saturdays. So, yeah. So, well, maybe Saturday night. So, 3 days. That's it. That's pretty much what I did. Yep. Lots of playtime this time.
Yeah. I need to get back on my 50s because I really haven't played on my 50s much since we did a little bit of the Western Ice Shelf, 3 dailies.
Yeah, I missed that. I really wanted to do that.
Well, it's still there from what I'm aware. The last time I was there, the Greek Consortium was still there, which is a definite plus. But unfortunately, I haven't jumped in there to do it lately. I've been leveling with the wife. We've been on Alderaan for a little while. We're blitzing through Alderaan at one point, and it's because it was the double XP weekend, which is really good for us, sort of. But the problem becomes that now we're getting gear that we really desperately need. The four of us, me, Sulu on her character, Mako, and Quaizon Fez. I think it's Quaizon Fez. No, it's not Quaizon Fez. Kimball, her character, her little tanky character. We're all burning through it, and that's great. But while we're sitting there burning through it, we're also really screwed because our gear's not matching up.
Right. That's what I had a problem with on PAPS. I kept out-leveling my gear so fast.
Yeah, and you're going against these mobs, and yes, your powers are upgraded, but the gear's not, and it really hurts. Granted, I haven't had to buy gear for most of mine because I went and spent a butt ton of money on mods for my lobby.
You just kept throwing in.
Well, I got purple mods, and I was like level 20 at the time when I bought them, or level 23, and they were purple items. So they were good for probably about 6 to 10 levels at best. And as I'm getting really close, and we were almost to the point that I dinged last night or today before the show, we were able to see that people were the gear's still competitive, but I'm getting to that point where it's just a little iffy, and I almost leveled, and I was really mad because I was like, I could have been 30 before I got on the show, but it's not that big a deal. I can always log on afterwards and do that if she's still up for it. If not, who knows? Maybe I'm kind of in the mood to live stream tonight and get back on one of my other server alts that because I was talking to a couple of people in chat tonight. They actually subbed to my channel, and I definitely thank them for that. Because I am trying to push the idea of live streaming constantly, and maybe one day I'll be like the rest of the big guys and be able to live off my live stream. But right now, I think we're doing for subscribers, and I've been playing nonstop some which ones
from Star Wars
are variable. But as far as my SWTOR time goes, most Saturdays I spend all day playing SWTOR with the wife.
Yeah. God damn it.
What did you do? Did you just end the Ubu call?
No, it just shut off on me. That after XSplit decided to go to the intro again.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah.
Technical problems. That's okay. We'll fix that. There we go. I'll call you again, and we'll get that squared away. See, and the bad thing is our poor guys who watch this on live don't watch our live stream.
And now we've got double sound.
What? That's because we need to mute Ubu again. There we go. Almost had my Ubu window perfect.
Got it.
And so do I. Ha, titties.
Let's see if I can hit J.
But no, I've just been leveling out with the wife and having fun. And it's really cool to be able to get in there and to be able to level with her because it encourages her to play her characters. Although she's been playing the snot out of Bernard.
Yeah.
And we just got Pseudo's pre-order done, so now she's ready for the Degree expansion.
Nice.
Or the Hut expansion, I should say. So I'm really excited to see that come through. But it's been a lot of fun leveling again. Because like I said last time, I'm playing as I played as a goody two-shoes on my original bounty hunter.
Right.
So going with these really dark answers and really mean answers is really funny. Even though her interactions with her crew are very lighthearted and more compassionate, it doesn't take away my dark side.
Right.
So far, I think she's dark too. She's her purple or blue or dark blue, whatever she started out as, has greatly faded. And she's starting to get all the great wrinkles, and the gray spots, and the blackened face and lips. And it almost hides well behind the makeup I chose for her. So that's a major plus.
What is she?
She's a Chiss.
Chiss.
Yeah. And she's still wearing, it's the Elegant Loungewear set. I just keep changing the mods because, they made it appropriately adaptive gear now.
Yep.
So, with it being actual adaptive gear, it allows for me to, put whatever mods I need in there, and it reacts as such.
Yeah.
It is funny though when you go into a scene where the guy's like, "Oh, heavily armed thug," and I'm going, "I'm wearing my panties. What's heavily armed? Look at me, I'm a little girl."
You can tell I'm unarmed. Yeah, I know. I wish all the modifiable gear was adaptable, because I think that really adds a little, especially for a bounty hunter or a smuggler, or a bounty hunter, because I think that really adds to the I don't know, the strangeness of Star Wars. I mean, as a bounty hunter, you always see bounty hunters in some type of rehashed military gear, right?
Right.
Mismatched, from different wars or whatever they picked up. But it's kind of cool to see, like for instance, Lanyard is in the, I think it's supposed to be operative gear. It's like a tight-fitting gray outfit, and it's kind of like a sniper's gear or something like that.
Yeah.
And but it looks good as a bounty hunter with that frickin' helmet of his that I will never get rid of because it's the best helmet they've designed in this game, period. And you know that because they're everywhere. Everybody wears that stupid helmet. And there's still a lot of people wearing not as many people wearing the black Talon gear.
Right.
But, and that's because I stopped wearing it.
Yeah,
well, Lanyard's not wearing it anymore. It's not cool. But I think it would be great to see like a smuggler wearing, the robes and, heavy armor boots and the goofy hat, just because he's a smuggler. What says he has to wear? Who says he has to wear a vest and a white shirt?
Well, the funny thing is, like, the wife's playing a Sith Inquisitor. Okay, she's going lightning. But when we were live streaming today, someone goes, "Why is your wife wearing regular pants
instead of a skirt, or instead of a robe?
Instead of a robe?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I went to Inspector. And I'll talk about this a little bit more later, but I went to Inspector, and I was like, "Well, it looks like she's wearing elegant loungewear top and bottom." Wait, that's not possible. That's what I'm wearing. And then I went, "Well, honey, what are you wearing?" And she started talking about her gear, and she goes, "Oh, I like it because it's adaptive gear and he looks cool." And I was like, "Well, there you go. That's why she's not wearing a robe."
That's why she's wearing it, because she likes. She's a butch girl. What can you say? Oh no, it's Edward, so he can wear pants.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to wear a dress.
She's playing a dude, and it's cool,
Yeah.
I'm playing Perpigillium, and she's a chick, so I'm down with it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
And we work well together. A lot of times Kem ends up grabbing the aggro off of me, which doesn't make me happy because I'm trying to tank. But when you're tanking out in the open, it really doesn't make a big shitty difference.
Well, I think it's funny too because, like in PvP, they'll look at your gear and assume you're or your gear and assume you're something else.
Yeah.
I don't remember what character I was on, but I was wearing adaptive gear, and it was the bounty hunter armor. It was a trooper armor type look, but I was a caster, and I kept getting treated as if I would, I was a bounty hunter or a tank. Yeah. It's just like the misconception that just because you're a sorcerer, they instantly bubble you and assume you're the healer. No, I'm not the healer, man. It's like, so it's kind of funny that way.
But we've been having a lot of fun out there, and the wife got lost a little bit today. It was actually kind of funny. We finished a mission, and I was trying to find the quickest way around without aggroing all the mobs. And on Alderaan, most of the questing zones, they're chock full of mobs because they expect thousands of people to be running through there, and the respawn rate's kind of retarded. Yeah. Even though it's supposed to adapt as it goes, which it doesn't.
Not all the time, no.
But I kind of went up this little cliff area behind the questing zone, and I had dropped down, and I see her. I'm like, "Well, come on, honey, let's go." And she's just wandering around, and I'm like, "Where are you at?" So I actually had to, leave my area and go out to the living room to find out where she was, and she was trying to walk a completely different direction. And I'm like, I had to tell people in my live stream, "Hey guys, I'll be off camera for a minute. I gotta go rescue the wife."
Yeah, right. That'd be great if you could figure out how to run her computer, see what she's seeing on your second monitor. That way you can keep tabs on. No.
Yeah, I could, but I don't want to do that. I'm just annoyed. But I know how to run that program too. But it's. I was just like, where did you go? And she's like, I'm right where you're at. I'm like, no, you're not. And then she got onto the cliff. I'm like, okay, there's the cliff. Just walk up and sit next to me.
Yeah.
Or, come down next to me. She goes, okay. I'm like, are you coming? I'm next to you. I'm like, no, that's Mako. I'm the blue thing below you.
You're waving to her from across the alley. I'm over here.
And then, of course, I tell her, I said, well, drop down right next to me. We'll hop on our mounts and we'll roll out of here. So she drops down, but she drops too far.
Oh.
And right on top of a monster's head.
Oh. and that will piss a monster off more than anything. You land on his head, it's not fun for him at all.
But, so I'm like, did you? Yeah, I aggroed. It's, like, I believe that's going to be, like, the tagline for my Slow Tour streams is, oops, I aggro.
Oops, I aggroed. Nice.
Just because it seems to happen so often.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I understand, it happens quite frequently. And we're somewhere just under the level of some of the monsters we're killing, or the mobs we're killing, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's been a lot of fun playing with her. I do wish I could find some of my friends that are 50s on a bit more frequently so that I could get on and be able to play with them and do some raids. Just because I haven't raided in so long, and it feels really weird not, and being that I am more of an alcoholic and more into the storyline, it's cool that I'm playing that. But I would like to get a little fresh perspective and see how things are going in the raiding community. The wife really isn't big on PvP, so I don't get I don't end up PvPing very often.
Well, you just need to start grabbing some Europeans.
Yeah. Well, there was someone who suggested that I start a character on a Euro server, and I'm thinking about checking out one of the Euro PvP servers sometime this week. I also want to just get on regular character. Because even if I went back to OBG I did on the US server, on the PvE server that I'm on there, which I think is June de Paul or something like that. I can't remember Covenant, one or the other. Just so I could level up that character and see how things go. But I do want to get into more PvP before the expansion comes in. Everybody keeps asking, why don't you check out the beta? And to be perfectly honest, I kind of want the beta to feel fresh.
Yeah.
I have played betas before, and then when they come to the live realms, I'm not happy, or I'm not as excited about it because I've already been done that. And it's really no fun to go in and
do it again because it doesn't transfer.
And there's another thing, someone asked me today, I'm really hoping for transfers. Well, we all have been since before the servers were condensed.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, well, the idea of transfers is awesome, and I definitely want to see that.
Yeah.
But the problem is that when it comes to the idea of transfers, they say the system's not perfect, but they condensed thousands of people onto 10 servers.
Yeah.
So it's got to be somewhat set in stone. Like it's already got to be working fairly well.
Yeah.
But hey, I guess it could be argued that there are certain things they do need to work on. I know there was the bugs with transferring guilds over and shit like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of frustrating. And I dig it. I understand. I'm trying to see what else there is. There we go. But I was really excited. We've had a lot of news come down the pike today. This last week, as far as patch notes and Star Wars and Star Wars movies and what have you. So I'm going to break up the news today into two parts, and the break is going to be where we drop Pseudo in. But for now, I think Lanyard, if you're ready, can we go to the news?
Well, let's go to the news.
Here's your galactic news. Look what you missed while you were sleeping.
All right, so this week in the news, the biggest things, and I thought at first because I was out in the middle of the night and April 1st was here, the biggest thing, or the biggest shocker for me, is, my consistent joke that Star Wars was going to turn into Star Trek, and that JJ Abrams had done Star Trek and now is doing Star Wars, and I was dumbfounded because I'm thinking to myself, well, first of all, you have the director from Star Trek, which depending on your side of the street in geekdom, the two should never cross paths. These are two laser beams that should never touch. You don't mix phasers with blaster rifles ever. And that's just the way it has been in geekdom for years. Although we all admit to loving both, the Gene Roddenberry series, as well as that other prick who keeps changing the movies but sold them to Disney, so now we're getting goofy in the movies. But nonetheless, I was excited to hear that George Takei was actually being inundated into the Star Wars universe, and that was kind of freakish, because I'm like, he's a prominent figure in the mind of classic Star Trek fans, the first season fans.
Yeah.
And to see that he had put it up there, I'm going, nah, this looks. I know it's Photoshop, and it was announced on April 2nd, and I'm like, this has got to be an April Fool's joke that just got out too late. But it was on his Facebook page. He was really excited to put it out there. It says that he, and I saw it on his Facebook site because oddly enough, he's on my. I've got him as one of my liked walls. He says, "Friends, I'm thrilled to announce that."
Wait. Go ahead. Finish up. Go ahead.
What's your question?
When was this posted?
April 2nd.
Was it April 2nd?
Yeah, according to this article.
You think maybe it might be a delayed April Fool's joke?
That's what I want to say, but here's what he says in the post. He says, "Friends, I'm thrilled to announce that I'll be starring in the new Star Wars reboot directed by JJ Abrams. I'll be playing Master Seti Maru, a member of the Jedi High Council. The new film entitled Star Wars Galactic Empire is greenlit and will be filming sometime early next year. It's a true moment for the Star Alliance. Thanks to all my fans for their decades of support." And it's, like I said, when it posted, I was like, oh, this has got to be an April Fool's joke. Because I've been telling everybody, for fans of sci-fi and internet folk, we know that April 1st is the day from hell. Because there are some things that are totally over the top that we don't mind enjoying and are hilarious. And then there's other things that we pull up and it's complete garbage. It's like, what is this shit? Like I saw a Scope ad that was for Scope bacon flavor.
Oh,
and it's
sweet!
and as much as I like the idea of Scope,
and bacon.
I like washing remnants out of my mouth with Scope, but I love the taste of bacon. I just, smell that fresh bacon breath.
Defeats the purpose. It'd be like onion flavored Scope. That kind of
exactly. And I'm like, okay, this has got to be a joke, but I'll repost it because the video, they'd actually put out a video for it, which was really
which is the best, because if they put a video out for it, it almost like it makes people even think, is this real? I mean, they put effort into this.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, what was it, like SWTOR did? They were releasing a patch for SWTOR Dance Studio, which I think is a nod and a bit of a jib to the guys over at World of Warcraft. So I saw this and I'm like, oh, but it looks so, and it sounds so believable. That's the worst part.
Right.
That if it was a late April Fool's joke, then holy shit. If it wasn't, then that's just insane.
Have you read the whole thing? Because at the bottom it says, Geeks of Doom gives us more information, blah, blah, blah. Now the actor best known for his role as original Sulu in Star Trek Universe revealed that he'll be starring in JJ Abrams' Star Wars reboot called Star Wars Galactic Empire. And then it goes down and it says, Geeks of Doom learned exclusively that Takei will indeed be performing the classic Jedi mind meld Star Wars Galactic Empire. Then below that it says, George Takei as Jedi. That doesn't get any cooler than that, right? 2 thumbs up for Takei on another great April Fool's post. Last year he released the news that the Star Trek veteran would get his own spin-off film called Star Trek Excelsior. It's not bacon mouthwash, but it's pretty darn awesome. There you go. See?
I still think it would have been great. I mean, because it was so... nothing on his site, other than the video post, they're always sincere. And it wasn't like right on the first, so I'm going, this has got to...
got the same. I mean, the best April Fool's jokes are the ones that really make people think this has got to be true, because it's so. Everybody's saying it's just so true, you know. And you know, I mean, World of Tanks did it with the zombies and tanks, and I mean, they actually even made video with zombies attacking tanks and tanks blowing zombies apart. I mean, they put it together as if it's a new expansion. Had the developers do a whole thing on it. I mean,
now see that's bullshit, because that would have been funny as hell.
I think it would have been
great.
Get in
my little T1 and like the little zombies. Oh, that'd be fucking hilarious.
I told him, I said, that's what I said before the show. I said, sometimes these April Fool jokes, you know, they're jokes, but it's like, you think about it, you're like, dude, no, that would be really, really cool. Why are you not doing that? They had a spherical tank they were describing. Anyways, back to SWTOR.
Let's see.
What else you got? What other April Fool's jokes?
Well, oddly enough, this one was posted on April Fools on the SWTOR strategy site, so now I'm a little scared.
Which one?
All right, let's see. It says that it was talking about JJ Abrams.
Okay.
And giving a little bit of information about the news of the movie. So now I'm a little scared.
Scroll to the bottom and see if it's a joke.
Good job, Kathy, at convincing him to join the team. No,
okay. Doesn't look like this. Looks like it's the
it might be legit. Okay, let's try to read this one. We'll see what happens. God help me. But no, the Takei thing felt real.
It was good, but it got you.
Well, I am a fairly big George Takei fan.
Yeah.
He's huge in the online community and has really done more for his fans and for the people in his sphere than Shatner has ever done for any of us. And I don't care who cares if I spit on Shatner.
You have to be in Shatner's little circle to. But he's his own.
But
person. Anyways, yes.
It says I've been a fan of Abrams for a long time now. But these days, when you mention the name JJ Abrams, one question comes out of everyone's mouths. Will we learn more about Episode 7? It's safe to say that Star Wars fans all over are excited about the new movies. And while Abrams was able to work on Star Trek with some level of objectivity, we have to wonder if he will do the same with Star Wars. He is admittedly a big fan, and it begs the question, how will he approach this very big task? The Empire Online had the chance to sit down with Abrams for a bit and ask him a few questions about Episode 7 and his plans for the movie series. To which he says, I don't know because we're just getting started, and so it's a great question that I hope I'll have a good answer to when I know what the answer is. There are infinitely more questions than answers right now, but to me, they are not that dissimilar. Though I came at these both very different. I came at these both from very different places. Where they both meet is a place of, oh, that's really exciting. And even though I was never a Star Trek fan, I felt like there was a version of it that would make me excited. So I would think that's cool and that feels right. I actually want them to see that. Which is funny because I thought that the originality that he brought to the Star Trek movie was just fucking amazing.
Well, that's just what he's saying right there. He was never a Star Trek fan.
But to not be a fan and then make something that, well, the hardcore fans pissed all over. But
yeah, I'm a hardcore fan, and I was a little skeptical when I went in. But when I got halfway, by the end of the movie, I was like, I'm buying another ticket. This is just amazing. Yeah. So, he did a really good job on that, and I think he'll do the same thing for Star Wars.
Well, we'll see. Let's see. Going on, it says, see how we were going to get there, what the choices were going to be, who was going to be in it, all those things I knew would have to be figured out. But it was all based on the foundation of this indescribable, guttural passion for something that could be. It's a similar feeling that I have with Star Wars. I feel like I can identify identify a hunger for what I would want to see again, and that is an incredible, exciting place to begin a project. The movies, the worlds could not be more different, but that feeling that there's something amazing here is the thing that they share. Which is true. I mean, all the worlds are different in both universes. The planets, the movies themselves are very different each time we go into them. Yeah. Even following, Luke through his series, and trying to identify with the young lost kid, trying to find his way in the new dark world. Yeah. It's interesting to see what he says. It's as far as like they're still in the way pre-production stage. To the point that the only people we know that are coming back are, Luke, Leia, and Han, are the only ones they've confirmed so far. And those are the biggest names. It's just, it'll be interesting to see what little names they pull into the movie. No.
What?
What? I was looking for some reflection from you.
Oh, no, I agree. I mean, yeah. Well, that depends. They better start filming fast because Harrison Ford's not getting any younger. I've seen the previews of the newest movie he's going to be in about, I think, Jackie Robinson, where he's like the manager for Jackie. I think it's Jackie Robinson, the first black player in National Baseball. Anyway, he's the manager for it, and I've seen video, and I'm like, oh, wow, is he just getting ancient? So they better start filming quick. Otherwise, they're going to have to go back to a Star Trek reference and put him in the chair and just have him sitting there beeping a light. But so, and you probably didn't get that reference, but Star Trek fans did.
Well, I am a fan. You have to remember, sir, I have to keep track of a lot of things as much as you do with your exploit. He says, my knee-slapping reaction was that I'm in the middle of working on a Star Trek movie, and I can't even consider it.
This is what he said when he first was offered the directors.
But then went by and I got further along working on the movie and getting to a place where I had done most of the heavy lifting. So when I met with Kathy Kennedy, we just started discussing it, and I was able to actually engage in the conversation. I went down to tell Kathy, my wife, and I said I had just a very interesting conversation with Kathy. That was the beginning. I will say that Steven Spielberg was very encouraging of the Star Wars. It's funny because I talked to him about it, and it turned out he knew all about what was going on. So it appears as though Steven was the one that made this the possibility.
Well, when they first said, okay, Disney's buying getting the rights for 7 and 8 and 9, okay, which, by the way, they have to do a 10 because you can't leave on an odd number. But 7, 8, and 9. So when they first started saying that, it was all over Twitter about who's going to direct, and people were throwing out names left and right, and I kept saying, JJ, it's got to be JJ or nobody, and then it finally hit, and I'm glad that he picked it up. I am absolutely looking forward to basically anything he releases except for that terrible movie with the monster attacking New York. Other than that...
which is, oddly enough, one of my favorite movies by him, short of Star Trek. And I absolutely hate Super 8.
Yeah, so we all have different tastes. But I mean, I really like what he does. So as far as sci-fi goes,
right.
And so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, I'm looking forward to May 17th, which is Star Trek 2. Oh. Although the more and more I see of some of the trailers, the less and less interested I'm becoming because it looks a little peculiar. But yeah.
Well, I'm interested to see what they do with that one. Not to drag too far away from the Star Wars universe, but
we're mixing
it shows his diversity. And each time I see one of his movies, it's a completely different take. So it's not like he sits down and it's something like that jackass that did Transformers.
Oh, yeah.
where it's like, oh, fuck the story, I need big explosion.
Yeah, there's too much.
It's everything that guy does is the same shit.
Yeah.
You know, whereas every time you see a JJ Abrams movie, it's like, here's an artistic style, here's a story-driven style. When he did the movie You Hate, it was the first time someone had taken a large screen film and turned it into more of a gonzo film, so it was very handycam based. And while it is unsettling for some, and there's even warnings about all the motion captain,
may make you nauseous watching this film, and it's not from the gore.
You know, there was an artistic style to it, and that's what I really appreciate. So when I went into this new one, and they were like, oh, well, it's turning the universe up on its head, and I'm seeing all these reviews, and I'm like, oh my god, this has got to be so horrible. You know, and I am, for the lack of a better terminology, an old school Star Trek fan. I'm not into the Voyager or the Next Generation or DS9. I'm into Kirk and the crew. So when I saw this, and it changed the history of the show, or the history that has been in stone for so fucking long, it blew my mind.
And he couldn't have got a better group of actors to do the...
And he took, with the exception of a few sideline actors, almost the entire crew was nobodies, or nearly nobodies, and those names have slowly blown up in the movie sphere since then.
You've seen them everywhere now.
Right, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking at a slightly re-envisioned version of Star Wars with JJ's touch. And being that he's a big fan of the series, I think that only lends to the credence of what he's going to do for the series. And you know,
he makes movies he wants to see again and again and again, which is what Spielberg, even Lucas, that's what when they went into making when they went into making movies, they said, I want to make a movie that I would want to see again. And if you're gonna be a director, that's what you got to do. You can't just say, oh, I'm just making this movie because I'm getting paid for it, because then it turns out to be Bill and Ted 2. I mean, it's terrible. So you gotta anyway.
But those are the two some of the headlines I want to start off with. Obviously, I was duped by an April Fool's joke, so shame on me. But it looks so real. Damn it, George.
So
I do have to say one thing. I am a little pissed off. Apparently, George Takei put out his little Oh My autobiography and never has done an audiobook for it, so I might actually have to read text.
It would be great if he read it. He would have to read it.
Well, I'm sure in the back of my mind it'll be his voice anyway, so it's okay. We do have a snippet from Pseudo this week, so we're gonna go ahead and drop into Pseudo, and then we'll come back with the remainder of the news for you guys.
Okay, here's Pseudo.
Hello everyone, this is Pseudo, your Galactic Librarian, picking back up with Skyborn Chapter 1, second part. That's actually thunder. It's proof. That's what it is. The Skyborn has forsaken you. No, Mother, it's proof that they are protecting me, Adari said, eating standing up. If it rains, the mob can't set our house on fire. That wasn't likely to happen. The widow of Neshtavari was a protected person, unlikely to be killed in a riot. However, there was nothing wrong with making her life miserable, and since her sin was against the Neshtavar themselves, no authority would stop them. In fact, little displays like this were good for public order. Adari poked her head into the backyard. No rocks there, just the UVAC doing what he had done all year, taking up most of the place and being unfragmented. Emerald reptilian eyes opened long enough to shoot her a bad look. His leathery wings shifted, raking against the sides of the pen. The beast didn't mind the cooling rain, but the noise from the strait had disturbed his royal slumber. Riderless, UVAC were all sloth and bad attitude, but Nink hadn't liked his rider when he had one. He was Adari's least favorite thing, but he came with the house. In a sense, the house was his. In olden times, when a Neshtavari and Uvak rider died, the community had slain the deceased family as well. That practice had ended, perhaps the only time the Neshtavar had allowed practically to overrule tradition. Uvak were precious, temperamental, and attached to their riders. Stabling them with the dead riders' survivors often kept the beasts sane enough to be useful for the breeding market. Not to mention, Adari mused, what it must have done for Neshtavar breeding. The riders hadn't had great social lives when death was in the picture, but since the change, Uvak riders had become highly sought after as mates in Kashari society. Adari hadn't sought Zahari Val at all. She was interested in rocks. Zahari was their equal for conversational ability. In 9 years, he had given her 2 dim-witted children, a description that seemed less harsh to her than maternally charitable. She loved them well enough, but they were showing no signs of being any kinder or brighter than their father had been. Foolishness bred true. She, the fool, for not running away. He was Zahari Val, the valiant young rider of the Neshtavar, on whom so many hopes rested. That was the line from the wake had mistreated Nink one too many times. One beautiful morning, the beast had flown Zahari far out over the sea and unceremoniously dropped him. Adari was sure she had seen a hint of satisfaction in the creature's bright green eyes when he returned home. She'd never gotten along with Nink before, but at least now she paid him some respect. When it came to Zahari, the Uvak had more sense than she did. Okay, everyone, tune in next week for the continuation of Chapter 1, Skyborn. The Sith did read minds to a degree. Corson had used that to call out to her for help after seeing her in the air, but they weren't omniscient. She found out with a simple, surreptitious experiment involving Ravelin. She'd suggested he visit a restaurant deep in Tov's busiest quarter. Off he went, getting lost in the same neighborhood she always got lost in. The Sith's perceptive powers were amazing, but they still required accurate knowledge from others. She sought to provide that, accompanying Corson to many work sites, mostly employing jovial Kashari laborers. The Skyborn were perfect enough for the Kashari, and perfect enough for her. Yarborough Corson was far beyond Zahari Val, in intellect as she was above the rocks, and as long as she learned to avoid the eye of Sela, another widow of a fallen man, she could expect to learn a great deal more. At the same time her knowledge advanced, Isri's faith was further glorified. She took little joy in that, apart from the occasional chuckle she got from having a more storied role in it than he had. She was the discoverer, always to be remembered by Kashari society. No one would remember Isri. Watching another quarry being constructed, she wondered what that society would look like. She knew something the Sith didn't. They'd be here for a long time. She'd mentioned it once to a miner, who promptly discounted it as advice from the local know-nothings. But she knew. The metals that Sith sought weren't in the soil of Kesh. Scholars had every part of the continent. They had recorded what they'd found. If the substance Coruscant's people required hid farther beneath the surface, it would take time to find them. A lot more time. Time the Sith had. What she wondered would the Kashari have. Alright everyone, that was the last part of Skyborn, Star Wars Lost Tribe of the Sith, Book 2. Tune in 2 weeks for the start of Star Wars Lost Tribe of the Sith, Paragon.
Oh, okay. So you started yours a little later than I started mine, okay.
And I was like, wait a minute, I got extra noise, what the hell? And then you started talking, but she was almost done, about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So we're looking to do Paragon next week.
Yeah, so I'll get you some art for that, and that way we'll have that set up. And I did kind of screw up when I edited that. I was meaning to have it set up right, and unfortunately I didn't.
No worries.
Yeah.
You caught me.
Because she's like, oh, well, I did one, but then I did the other one, and I'm like, okay, so I'm thinking she did it, and then she stopped herself, and then she was like, wait, let me look.
Right. She made it a two-parter and just recorded it all at once so that maybe you'd think it'd split it and she wouldn't have to do one next time.
I normally listen to it on the podcast, not on the, before we started doing the live cast, I'd listen to it in post and wouldn't think about it. Well, if I would have thought about it, I could have edited it and split it in there right, and it would have been fine, but whatever, it works.
It works.
Anyway, we know we get into a new book, and of course we're going back
to the news.
To the news. Alright, so in further news, of course, we have some of the oddball items that we may have noticed, or you may have noticed when we logged in on Tuesday. That being, no longer will you ever use your email address to log into your account. Now you must remember the login name, that if is not universal, you will have to figure out what you used, which Lanyard had a little issue with today. I'm not big on this idea. I know why it's there. It's because of so many free-to-players only having to log an account name.
Mm-hmm.
But being that some screen names or usernames are universal usernames, I think this lends itself a little bit more to the I can hack your account system. So those of you who haven't done it yet, I have one on my iPhone. My wife and nephew have the keychain version. I highly suggest if you have a screen name that you use on a lot of websites, you pick up a security dongle for a security key for your keychain to register to your account. This being because I want everybody out there to be safe. It's not a huge deal because if it is logged in from an area other than, say, your house, they do kind of question it and definitely send some stuff out to get the person to verify that they are you. Not a big deal, but it's definitely an odd change. Normally we see more security, not slightly less, out of a company. But, was ist das? What is will be. Now, in addition, we normally do cover patch notes, and we're used to having to cover enormous patch notes. But since this was a secondary patch note, it's a 1.7.3a. It says fixed a significant memory leak, which will result in lower memory usage over time. That being, as your system caches the information, it's supposed to use less and less of the system memory to pull up or to quickly access the additional information. So far today, I have seen the largest leap in memory usage ever with Star Wars. It's normally very heavy on the PC, or the CPU on my computer. Today it was kicking the shit out of the RAM. I have about 16 gigs in my rig. So to load up the game from start, today, and start out at like between 5 and 8 gigs of RAM is just befuddling. And as I told Lanyard, it's not just system RAM that it's utilizing. Obviously, your graphics card, if you have one, has to utilize a certain amount of space as well. And with 2 gigs on my graphics card to be used and only seeing half of that used, but then seeing half of my overall system memory being used, definitely dumbfounded me quite a bit. That's a good chunk of change for a game that is, while large, isn't that fucking big. And it was kind of aggravating to see that. But nonetheless, they're addressing the memory leak finally a year after the fact, so at least they're getting to it finally. And while I haven't seen a decrease in the couple of times I've logged in, maybe I'll see some in the future. Additionally, we heard from, let's see, this is PC Games, PCGamesN.com. Had a story that was linked through SWTOR Strategies to us. It says Star Wars: The Old Republic gaining 10,000 players every day since going free to play. Of course, this doesn't mean that we have 10,000 consistent players. It just means 10,000 accounts that could be logged potentially on a daily basis. It says, speaking at the GDC, James Olin, creative director for Star Wars: The Old Republic, revealed that since going free to play, the number of players has risen to 4.5 million players, a boost of 2 million at the rate of 10,000 per day. The shift away from subscription has marked a turnaround for the game, revitalizing the player base. Though Olsen explains there were more problems with the Old Republic at launch besides its subscription model. The two main problems, as Olin sees them, was the game's lack of group finder, its poorly implemented public test realm, and its poorly implemented public test realm, which is kind of the truth. Obviously, we all said group finder was something that definitely should have been there at the very start of the game because so many other games had it. But also, given the rich storyline, group finder for the first, I'd say, day or two wouldn't have really mattered to me. Within the first 20 levels, you're pretty much set up on a list of never-ending quests that doesn't really matter, so it makes no difference. However, I can understand the idea that, you know, having these abilities or having this the ability to get into a group for, you know, a planetary heroic, or to be able to run, Black Talon the first time, and, you know, would have been nicer to be able to jump into G-Finder as opposed to having to just find somebody online. But at the launch of the game, there were so many of us playing, you literally just had to wave at someone and you got a group invite day one.
Yeah.
Now, 3 months after the fact, yeah, it did get a little bit sparse at best. People were having trouble finding groups. People were, you know, advertising for raids. And I think that's where Group Finder or Raid Finder really came into a necessity. And I don't think that really dissuades anyone from a game, but you know, he's the big dog over at SWTOR, and you know, I'm just some jackass in my closet recording a podcast. What do I know?
What the hell do you know?
Yeah, I'm just the asshole who's been paying for the game, playing the game as opposed to building it.
Yeah.
And of course, they said the other thing was a poorly implemented public test realm. You know, that's a yes and no. I don't think a public test realm kills any game. Being able to test out all the bugs definitely does. But yeah, I don't think it's what kills the game.
You got some.
That Wookiee might kill the game.
You got some whooping monkeys in the background there. What the hell?
Something of that nature. I believe the dog's having a nightmare. The only downside is that he hangs out with me while I'm recording. Let's see. It says additionally, he says this first meant the gamers that the game's social side was stagnant. It wasn't easy for players to congregate and take part in the more cooperative parts of the games, raids, and PvP, etc. The second meant that the first few patches BioWare released were crippled by bugs. And I definitely can argue that bugs have riddled this game for quite a while. And, you know, with the patch that helped us with the memory leak, I've noticed a whole slew of old bugs that popped up. You know, like I told Lanyard earlier in the show, tried to inspect the wife to tell my viewers on my live stream what my wife was wearing, and sure as snot, she was wearing my gear apparently, even though she wasn't. You know, and that was a problem I'd not seen since a couple of months ago, when you went to inspect someone and it showed your gear instead. Matter of fact, it even said my name, which was even more confusing.
Yeah.
But it showed her picture.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I had a little issue where I would target someone and their titles or their nameplates wouldn't show up today. And, you know, that's part of the thing, as we say, when you update the programs, some of the things you don't expect to be affected are.
Yep.
Let's see, another problem is something the designers hadn't foreseen at all was how quickly players were burning through the content. They created a game for the game's vanilla release. BioWare thought they'd made enough to satisfy the average gamer for 4 to 5 months. In reality, players were burning through all the game's quests and reaching the end game in about 4 to 5 weeks.
Yep.
I don't think that is 100% accurate, because there were several of us who made it to top end by say by week 3 or 4. Some of us 5 to 8. But I want to say that it's not that we burnt through the gameplay so much as we burnt down the main mission lines.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because we were in that first character. It was the race, man.
Yeah.
Every MMO player has it.
Yeah, I was gonna say every MMO player does that. They're like, well, what's level cap? Let's see how fast we can get there. Screw everything else. Let's see how fast I can get there. Whether it's just farming trash, running dungeons over and over again, whatever they can to boost through and get to the top level. Now they got their top level character. Where's my end game content? Okay, blow through the end game content. Now I'm bored. And every MMO player will do that. And every MMO game that's ever been built, well, not ever. There's some that take a little longer. But the ones that are built on this framework, they say, okay, well, we'll just double the experience points this time, and we'll just double the experience points this time. Well, that's fine, but then you double the experience points on your kills too, or your missions, and you're still leveling too fast. So, I mean, if you want to have a level cap at 50, and you're not expecting to have an expansion for a year, maybe 2, you better damn well have either a shit ton of end game content, or once you start getting closer and closer to that end cap or that end level, it takes exponentially longer to get there. Which again then means you need more content because people don't want to do the same dailies over and over again. It is it's tough for people to do that. I mean, you can speak it, but you know, implementing it is entirely a different thing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they only had 50 levels, which I think was, you know, they were looking at some of the other games, and 50 is kind of the top out for a lot of newer games.
Start out.
Yeah, and you know, if they hadn't left that block, they hadn't stopped there. It doesn't give them a whole lot of space to build if they do an expansion.
Well, right. Then the expansion goes another 5 levels.
Yeah.
Not very bright. They should have bumped that up to at minimum 10 levels.
Right. But I don't know. I think for the average gamer, which is what they swear they're going by, the idea that it took 4 to 5 weeks to get top end, I don't think is really accurate. When I play on my characters that aren't pushing really hard, you know, I just get in and log 2-3 days a week and play the game. Unlike what I did with SWTOR, which was anytime I was awake, I jumped in game.
Yeah.
And I blitzed as hard as I could to get to 50 so that I could get with the guys who were already doing quests, you know, even in the starting zones in groups of 4, so that they could get to the top end faster because they were hardcore raiders. And I did it. I'd have to check my slash played, but, I would have had to check my slash played at the time. But my slash played, I think, at that point was somewhere around 40 to 60 hours total.
Yeah.
On Cot, and I really did push to get him straight to the top, while enjoying the cutscenes for most of his storyline. But you know, okay, so we're saying that the blockade was the fact that now we're saying that it's because there wasn't enough content. If they would have changed the calculation on, say, the XP game, they could have, you know, strewn it out a bit further.
Right.
But I don't know, man. I'd have to say the idea that, what was it? They said they had foreseen it taking 4 to 5 months. I haven't met an MMO yet
Not unless
that it takes 4 to 5 months.
Unless you're playing like an hour a night.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if I logged in once a week and played like 5 hours a week, then maybe 4 to 5 months is reasonable.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, they were blowing content out, what, 3 months after the fact?
Yeah.
I mean, we were already seeing new PvP gear. We were seeing new raids. Yeah. They were drumming out the damn the information really quickly. I don't see where they went wrong, to be honest. Let's see what else it says. With the game's weak social tools, players that were hitting end game were just quitting. That meant there were few high-level players, which meant there were fewer end-game raiders, which meant there was less to do when you hit max level, which meant people quit. It was a circle of pain at the end of BioWare's MMO. The social tools would have helped, but raiders find raiders. I mean, when you and I hit 50 and we're really looking to raid, we found plenty of guilds that were looking for guys that were just randoms to pick up for a raid, and we did a lot of that from just looking for group and general chat. Someone saying, "Hey, I need a healer. Anybody a healer out there?" And me, and you just got an invite. So people who want to raid. The fact that some people agreed that most of their in-game content was a little on the lax side would probably be a bigger weakness to me than anything else. The social tools are somewhat irrelevant.
Yeah.
When it comes to most raiders, in most cases, their event's not even full of people who want to talk. They want to get the job done and go back to what they were doing. So that's kind of meh. Whatever. They went about fixing the game's problems in 2 ways. One, the team focused on fixing the game's internal problems involving improving social tools, creating more in-game content, merging servers to make the game feel more alive, while the other team began retrofitting the game into a free-to-play model, a change which would hopefully bring a new wave of players, a wave of new players into the game. Since the game was originally sub-based, they decided to retain the core model, but build a separate free-to-play model that would be supplement it, acting a little like a taster of what the subscription offered, which is about what you get, as opposed to a pair of jeans at a Gap store. I'm never letting that one die. It's like a Gap store. Bullshit. Sometimes it blows my mind that guys get paid as much as he does, and that's the best reference he's got. Right. Like he's ever even been in a Gap. Since
like
launching,
he shops by himself. He has lackeys
personal
to go
shoppers.
That's
right. I go out to the mall and people want to egg me or shoot me because I make terrible decisions on great games. I'll just send somebody else to get it for me.
Right.
Where's those mail order catalogs? Oh, this looks like the Gap store to me. Since launching as free-to-play, BioWare reported seeing the number of subscribers stop decreasing and recently began to rise once again. Olin put a lot of this on the lack of box cost, something that is an immediate turnoff for potential player. Looking to the future, BioWare sees the rise of the Hutt cartel evolving from the new model they've implemented since launch. It provides more story content, but with a focus on social play. They're also planning on introducing new features focused on Star Wars license, which they claim aren't available in any other current released MMO. They're keeping quiet about those, about what those were exactly. Now, a couple things that they have released in the game that are very much based on the movies are a couple of droids I've seen lately.
Little box?
The little box type droid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen that one. I found it on the auction house. It's fairly expensive.
I've seen it walking around, yeah.
Yeah, and it basically looks like a trash can. It's the same one that R2 and C-3PO encounter.
During the Jawa. Right. You've seen it in a couple other films.
Now, some of the things they have done, and, you know, free-to-play or otherwise, I've really enjoyed. Like, you know, I told you I got the skiff recently.
Yep.
The wife and I also have a desert cat that apparently was a drop out of the boxes, and it's really cute. It looks It looks like the white one, only it's a tan or orangish color.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool. They've also put in some pets that I think maybe you would be interested in there, Lanyard. How would you like to have a replica of one of the, of say, I don't know, the Phantom, flying around with you?
Phantom.
Like your ship.
Why would I want
A replica?
Nah. I don't need a
Phantom?
like a little.
That really cool Phantom, the one the Imperial agents drive? You kidding me?
But it's like it's like a remote control car, a remote control plane that flies around behind you.
It's like a balloon that follows you.
Yeah.
It's in the exact shape of the model. Oh, dude, that's fucking cool. Then they've got the Corvette class battleship that can be summoned and ride with you. That shit's cool.
Meh.
Ooh. My fucking remote control X-Wing is awesome.
Nice.
It's not a pet, it's a toy.
Okay.
It's under the toys listing. And it you know, when the Marillians do their little mind thing and it has little vibration-y things off their heads, and it looks like concentrating really hard. Well, this one, you've got a little control in your hand, and you see the little radio beacon come off of it, and this thing's just flying around and doing loops and shooting. It's shooting at nothing, but it's pew pew. It's so cool.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff that they're dropping into these cartel boxes and the packs that they've been releasing lately, and it's just so. I mean, some of the stuff, and you know, I am a subscriber, but some of the stuff is fucking cool. But because I'm a subscriber, I also don't have a limit on how many dailies I can do or how many PvP matches or flashpoints or raids or whatever. So I can gain the money I need to buy it off of the GTN. And in the meanwhile, anything I do get out of the cartel box, I sell on the GTN and make a shit ton of cash.
There you go.
That is, however, becoming a very, very big thing as of late. A lot more people buying the boxes specifically or buying the items specifically so that they can make a turn of profit on the GTN, which I don't have a problem with. But it is interesting to see them doing such, just from that perspective. I didn't expect so many people to do it. So I would argue while they've only pulled in 2.5 million people or registered accounts. I'll call them registered accounts because we don't know for a fact that that's where they are. I don't see. I don't see the people in game that they're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still seeing the same amount of shards no matter when I log in. 2 to 3 shards on fleet, 2 to 3 shards on different planets. And while you may find up to 8 shards on a starter planet, it still gets a little iffy once you get past 25. Like being on Alderaan today, there was 195 people roughly on Alderaan while the wife and I were questing.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if people are still suffering from burnout by the time they start really getting into their storylines. I talked to a couple of people in my stream today. One of them said he was thinking about rebooting it, but unfortunately his girlfriend's got him so excited and so having so much fun in World of Warcraft PvP that he hasn't gotten into it back into it yet. But he was planning on reinstalling it, so kind of a plus side for that dude. I don't know. I only lost flavor in the game for a couple of weeks because I had blitzed so many characters to 50 and really eluded storyline so much. And now that I'm back in the storyline more, I definitely I'm enjoying my game time much more.
Good.
What are you doing?
I'm searching the internet for more news.
Oh, well, shit. We're done with the news. We're just shooting the shit now.
Well, I'm listening.
But the Greek, the
Greek?
cartel is on its way out. But we got less than 2 weeks now, I think it is.
I think so, something like that.
Yeah, we've got about 14 days, if I remember correctly, because it's supposed to be out on the 16th.
14th.
Yeah, so we got 2 weeks. 14th?
14th is the...
Okay, so it's, a little over a week.
Yeah.
Little over.
Yeah.
A little over a week till the next expansion, 5 more levels, a new raid. God help me, please, a new PvP match. Not that I have a problem with Huttball or any of the other ones, but I want something vehicle based. And that's been my only complaint about PvP, and I have to blame World of Warcraft for that. But respectfully, World of Warcraft took 1, 2, 3 expansions before that happened. But I really would like to see some vehicle-based PvP.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's in every game I play. You know, if it's an online shooter, there's tanks, or there's, you know, vans, or there's, you know, some random-ass artillery item.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I want to be able to race, man. I want to be able to get on a pod racer and just launch missiles, or, you know, get in a two-legged walker and blow something the heck up. That's what I really want out of the next expansion.
Yeah.
And going against the Hutt cartel. But we learn on Nar Shaddaa that there's no point in taking down the Hutt cartel. Why? Because they kind of control everything in the background. They're that one neutral party that steals guns from the rebels and from the republics and gives them to us, and steals them back from us and sells them to them. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation if we take them down.
Yeah.
But I look forward to the new storyline. I am really excited about that. I'm really, really interested to see what they decide to do with the new planet. I want to pray. I want to hope that McKeb doesn't take me 15 minutes to get through.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I don't have
it's especially for people that aren't really interested in any of this shit that's on the planet to go see. Right. If all they're doing is the storyline and maybe a couple of the planet side stuff, and of course, obviously, there's going to be all dailies. It's going to be a whole new daily planet. You know, yeah, there's probably not going to be a lot of. There's probably 15, 20 minutes to get through, maybe an hour, and now you're bored. I have a fear that it's going to be like that. Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be that way because it's one planet, 5 levels, BFD. It's not going to take that long. Now, myself, I'm an explorer. If they've got the point where you can't get stuck on every branch and rock and box that's in the area, I go out and I explore stuff. So, you know, there's that. That'll take me a little time. But once I've seen the entire place, it's like, okay, now I'm bored. So, when's the next expansion coming out? You know?
Yeah.
And that's why I say 5 levels for an expansion. That is a piss poor expansion, unless they're doing like a half-season expansion, so to speak. You know, they plan on releasing more content, bigger, more levels, more planets closer to the end of the year, or an actual real expansion. You know, 10, 15 levels or something like that, because you just go through this too fast. I mean, I understand that they're working with a skeleton crew and they can only do as much as they can, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but for Olin to say that their biggest problems were the fact that they only made it 50 levels,
and then they go and make a 5-level planet. Yeah.
Right, you make a 5-level planet, and they say they want to get more groups together, which means to me, or makes me think, that there's going to be more of the heroic missions, and it's going to be a PvP-laced planet.
Yeah.
Which means that the people that he calls average gamers, which are those who aren't into world PvP on a PvP server, and yes, I know, I've said it before, if you're not into world PvP, what are you doing on a PvP server?
Right.
But it happens. That's where my friends play. I want to play with them,
yep.
But they're not on right now. You know, I wonder what will happen to those people. You know, because those people are the ones that are going to end up not getting into a group or getting frustrated with the fact that they can't get through the missions. And I don't know. I have a lot of hopes and a lot of fears for this next expansion.
Yeah.
And until I actually get there,
2 weeks, dude.
I won't know.
2 weeks.
I know, dude.
Not even.
But you know, it's
12
it's
days.
It's like keeping a meth addict away from chewing on his teeth. Okay? I want to play the beta, but I'm trying to keep myself from playing it because I don't want to not see it.
I'll play it tomorrow and tell you all about it.
You motherfucker.
Of course, my character's still level 50 with Chinese gear on, so I won't be able to do anything anyway, but who knows?
Well, I mean, I have 2 copies of Naga, and they're both in Battlemaster gear, so...
Every time I log in, they give me another copy of Lanyard. I've got 4 copies of the same damn character.
I should log in just to see what happened to mine. But if we do have any listeners that do have a server they feel is well populated, let us know on the SithTalk Facebook page. I am looking to try to start a character on the European servers. I keep hearing rumors that there are up to 5 server instances on that in Europe. And I play in the middle of the night, which probably would work over there.
Yeah, I read somewhere that they were planning on canning the Pacific servers. So
really?
The Asian servers, yeah.
Wow, that'll shit on all the Aussies.
Well, they'll have to go West Coast. I didn't say Europe. I didn't mean Pacific. I mean the Asian specific. So in other words, Asian specific.
Well, Asian specific. Yeah. You said Asian Pacific.
I meant, yeah, I did say Pacific, but I meant Pacific. In other words, where they talk Asian, not Ausin, not Ausin. I mean, I'm sure there's Asian-speaking people in Australia, but they all have an accent, so.
All right, man. Well, it looks like Lanyard's getting loopy, and I'm running out of thoughts, and I really, really want to get online again. I'm not sure what I'm going to play, but looking to get onto something. But remember, guys, you can catch our live stream on my Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Dedekar.
Yep.
And you'll be able to see us live stream this and catch out whatever video I might have up every other week.
We'll be on again the 2 days after the expansion.
So we'll have plenty of good news.
All stuff to bitch about and talk about. Fix the damn game! Give you...
Well,
maybe we'll bring Kevin back to tell us to fix the game.
Oh, God. I just hope that with the expansion that we don't see as many bugs as we normally do right at launch. Yeah. Or like we had the last major patch where it was like 2 days of downtime or just random patching.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to hurt the player base. I myself will probably spend one character to blitz to 55 and then another one to ease the 55.
Yeah.
And I will be live streaming once the patch goes live. So while I can't afford to take that day off of work, Sunday night if it is up, or Monday if it is up.
It'll be my vacation day. I'll be on it all fucking midnight on the 14th.
Well, I'll be on at midnight on the 14th, but that's because I'll be off work.
Yeah, well, there you go. See?
Maybe we can party up.
Yeah. I will get Lanyard there as ASAP. I think Landry, I might level him up. He's kind of like just, he's old. He's not got much hair left.
I'm okay at 50.
He's really angry. The Force isn't really strong with him anymore. Both of his wives have left him now, so he's got to live with them on the ship. So that's kind of a bad situation there. Since the cartel came in, they confiscated his apartment, his apartments at the in Alderaan, and so he had a nice little shot over the lake. They took that from him for debts that he didn't have paid. It's bad news for Landry. As far as Lanyard's concerned, he's not real proud to call him his father, but every now and then he has to go to him for a loan, which of course now he can't do. So him and Suiza are kind of like, working it out with Mako, because the whole thing with Mako and then Suiza it's just a really complicated story over there in that world. And now Paps all of a sudden came out of nowhere. It's like a nephew I didn't even know I had, and so it's really it's Thanksgiving is Life Day is not the best at our home, so it's
All right, guys. So we'll catch you in 2 weeks. Remember, you can catch our show live on stream. Love to have you come in, post some questions, your thoughts on the game. And remember, of course, you can always catch us on Facebook. And if you wish to, feel free to stop over to our Podomatic page and click that donate button. Help us, keep the stream alive and keep the news going. And of course, help to just keep the rent paid on some of the sites we keep up. Otherwise, we thank you guys as always for your support, and you know what? We'll see you in the pit.
Thank you again for joining us here on Sith Talk. Lanyard and Dedekar look forward to talking with you next week. Remember to follow us on Twitter at SithTalk, or stop by our Facebook page at facebook.com/SithTalk. And of course, our Gmail is SithTalk@gmail.com. This music brought to you by freeplay.com. And remember, peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion I gain strength. Through strength I gain power. Through power I gain victory. Through victory my chains are broken. The Force shall free me.